Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Bones Collector, and today on the Bones Collector I'm going to do my top 10 adventure games. Now adventure games are purely subjective, I know, but these are the games that I think are the top 10 adventure games that feel adventurous to me, and I'm going to talk about those games to you today. But first I'm going to talk about the games that didn't make my top 10 that are in my library that I love and adore, that have that adventure feel to them. And just because they didn't make it my top 10, they certainly could. But I want to talk about these games just because I feel like I'm not doing my job if I don't. And I want to express my pleasure with the games that are in my library just because I don't put them in the top 10. So let's talk about this first one, and it's called London Dread. Now London Dread is a cooperative game of Victorian horror. It says so right on the box. And I bought this game when it was brand new. And I talk about this game every Halloween because it's my #1 favorite Halloween game. It is a mix of Eurogame mechanics and adventure style gaming, and in that the first 10 minutes of the game is timed. It's a real-time game for 10 minutes. Each player has a clock that they're going to program, and the reason why they're programming that is you have a board that's in the middle of a table, and to begin you're going to put all these cards face down on the board and start turning them up until you reach 6 plot cards on there, and then you stop. Now all those cards that were turned up have to be resolved during the game. Those are encounter cards that you have to resolve, and you have to do them in order, hence the clock. And it's so much fun, it's so much chaos when you're programming those clocks because you only have 10 minutes, and that's the fun of it. Stick to it. You know, set that timer, go to it, program your clocks, and I guarantee you it's enough time to program your clock, but is it enough time to do it accurately? That's the thing. I love talking about it. The publishing in this game is outstanding, has a bunch of custom dice in it, and you have a lot of cards in it, and you have a story deck that's going to tell the story of that particular chapter that you're in. I just love this game. The only problem I had with the publishing of the game is, and if you find this, when you find a copy of this, you're going to see it. I don't know what they made this box out of. It's thick enough, it's a good enough box, but whatever they painted on here, I mean, it wears off very quickly on the corners. If you can find one without white edges, you'd be hard pressed. So that's kind of disconcerting a little bit because I really take care of my games. But hey, that's London Dread by Gray Fox Games. I just love this game. I couldn't talk about adventure games without talking about that one. The next game I'm going to talk about is Runebound 3rd Edition by Lucas Litzinger, and I need to shout Lucas's name out because he did a wonderful job with this game. This is from Fantasy Flight. Now this game is an adventure style game, and it has a timer token on it, so you're going to play this game in 2 acts, and it's kind of semi-cooperative. You are competitive in a way. You're going around this map, beautiful map by the way, the board is gorgeous. You're going around this map trying to get stronger for the end of the game, because when you have to defeat the boss in this game, either somebody has to defeat that boss or all players lose. So somebody's got to get strong enough to go defeat that boss. Of course, if you're the first one to do that, you win. And there is an expansion for this game called Unbreakable Bonds, and I wish I could get my hands on it. It's out of print. You can't get it, and it has some more cards in it, which is essential in an adventure style game as this. But I want to tell you something. This game is outstanding. I love the combat system in here. They're tokens that you flip, and whatever side face up comes up, that's what you're going to resolve. Now I did print out the combat mats that are from the Unbreakable Bonds expansion. Well, Lori did. I didn't do it. But she did it for us, and so we use those to help resolve that combat. But it's a very uncomplicated combat system, which I love in adventure games, and that's called Runebound 3rd Edition. The 1st and 2nd edition, I believe, I probably should have looked it up, were designed by Martin Wallace, an outstanding board game designer, and there's people that love those also, but this is my favorite one because of that combat system. That's Runebound 3rd Edition. Okay, the next game I'm going to talk about is Relic. It's from WizKids. This is the premium edition of Relic, and by that I mean all 10 miniatures in here, they come painted. As soon as I found out there was an edition of this that came painted, that's what I was after. It'll say right on the cellophane plastic on the front of the box if it's the premium edition. But this is in the Warhammer 40K universe, which I'm not familiar with in any way. But the game system is Talisman, except that there's quite a bit more going on. And I like it very much. The only problem I had with the game is in the publishing. All the cards in here are mini cards, so if there's a lot of words on the card, the font size has to be small. So I'm not that thrilled about that. I wish they had used larger cards in this game. There's a lot of cards in this game, so you do have nice variety in this box. And I enjoy the game enough to keep it. I don't know if that will ever be a deal breaker for me with those tiny cards or not, but that might be a deal breaker for you. So that's something to consider if you're looking at playing Relic. All right, next game I'm going to talk about is Secrets of the Lost Tomb. Secrets of the Lost Tomb has been out for quite a while, and there is a 10th anniversary edition. It's either on Kickstarter or GameFound, I don't know which, and I did order it. What is it?
GameFound.
It's on GameFound. My editor working over in her office just yelled at me. So it's on GameFound. And if you are interested in that, you can probably go and find that there. But we did order the new 10th anniversary edition because we were able to get the expansion material with it. I just have the base box. The expansions are hard to find, and I'm not going to look for them. And besides, I've got the new ones coming. But I like playing this game very much, and it's so much fun because it's more of a, I guess it's a dungeon crawler because you have a stack of tiles. There's lots of tiles in this game, and you're going to, as you explore, it has that exploration feel to it, and as you explore in this game, you're going to lay those tiles out, and sometimes you'll find those tiles will give you things that will help you, and they're going to give you things that will hurt you. But you have a whole deck of misadventure and adventure cards that you're going to encounter as you're flipping up those tiles, and monsters that will spawn, and bosses that you have to defeat. So the only thing that bothers me a little bit about this game, I guess there's two. It uses some mini cards, and the font on those things are insanely small. And I mean, I would literally have to play this game with a magnifying glass to read those cards. And my eyesight is not that bad. And I looked at the new edition, the 10th anniversary, and it appears as though the font is a lot larger on the cards. So that is going to really help speed this game up so you're not squinting to read those cards. And then also this has a little bit of a convoluted combat system in it. You have a player area about that wide and as tall as this box. It's the full size, and it takes from top all the way to the bottom to go through each step of combat. And that slows the game down quite a bit. I'm one of those people, hey, I want to add up the enemy's strength and add up my strength with all my attributes and cards that I've acquired, and I'm going to roll some dice and see if I made it. Because it's fast. And sometimes this is not, you have to go, oh, subtract that, add that. And, I mean, it just gets to be a little bit much sometimes, but it doesn't stop me from liking the game. I sound like I'm complaining about it, and I would like that to be streamlined in the new edition. Who knows if they will or not. But I love the game. It has great exploration in it and nice encounters feel to it, and just a lot of fun, and that's Secrets of the Lost Tomb. And that Secrets of the Lost Tomb is probably the most complex game you're going to see in the entire video. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about is a game that's a lot easier, but it's a classic, and that's Mice and Mystics. And this game is part fairy tale, part board game, and it feels very adventurous. You have a bunch of big tiles in here that you're going to move around on. That's your map. And what has happened in this game is these humans that are, loyal to the king, they've been turned into mice. So they're little tiny characters, and these little tiny characters are running around the castle trying to foil Venestra's plans, and because they're little tiny mice, things that they never gave second thought to are now dangerous to them, like rats and cockroaches and spiders. And then also there's Brody the cat that runs around the castle they have to deal with. But this is a charming game, folks. I like Mice and Mystics. It's classic, and I'm hanging on to it. There we go. And the next game I'm going to talk about is Firefly the game. Firefly is an IP, and this is an adventure-style game that is about the science fiction television series called Firefly. So this was a television series that Laura and I enjoyed very much back in the day. We watched the whole series. It had been out a while, and so we were able to binge the whole thing, which is the way I like to watch television series. And then they abruptly ended that series without resolving anything. And of course, the fans of the show were so upset, they complained, and they made a movie called Serenity. And the movie resolves all of that from the TV series, but just a wonderful thing that we enjoyed back in the day. And so when I saw this game, I wanted to play it, and this is a game where you're going to get a ship and hire some crew, get a job, and pick up and deliver, move around the verse, it's called, in this television series. It has a huge map in here in this box, a lot of cards, so there's a lot of variety in this base box. Now there are some expansions for it, and I only have one small expansion called the Artful Dodger with it, which is another ship, but there are other expansions if you wish to play more in depth in this game that give you more cards and so forth. But we're very satisfied with this game just as it is in the base box. We have a lot of fun playing it. I'm going to keep it forever. And that's Firefly, the game. All right, next game I'm going to talk about is Fortune and Glory by Flying Frog Productions. And this is a globe-trotting game. You have a huge map of the world. You're going to travel around as characters. You can play it competitively or cooperatively. We always play it cooperatively. So that's the way we like to play this game. And there's a huge amount of variety in here. I do have one expansion called the Crimson Hand. There are others, but they're hard to find for this game. This was just reprinted this past, I think 2023. It was reprinted, so we were able to get our hands on a copy because you couldn't find it for a while. There are some plastic miniatures in here that aren't painted, so I'll warn you about that. But it's a lot of fun, and it has good variety. In an adventure game, cards are everything, because those are your encounters, and that's the story. As you're working your way through this, that's the story, is in those cards as you go to different cities and different areas of the board. And it is so much fun. I think we just got it this year and started playing it and enjoyed it very much. I love it, and that's called the Fortune of Glory, the Cliffhanger game. Push that over there. Okay, and I also want to talk about a game that is very, very easy to play, and that's probably why I like it so much, and that is called Prophecy. And these are a couple of expansions, the Dragon Realm and the Water Realm, that you can acquire also. Now, Prophecy is a game by Vlaada Chvátil. Of course, Vlaada Chvátil designed Mage Knight, Through the Ages, Codenames, Tash Kalar. I'm forgetting a bunch. This guy's amazing and very eclectic. So his board games, they cover the whole gambit of board gaming. But in Prophecy, it's a very laid-back, easygoing game where you have a map that you're going to travel around with your character and just resolve different encounters that you're going to come upon. And I don't know, there's something pleasing about that. Just rolling dice, battling a couple of monsters, trying to acquire things that are going to help you. I think it's the first one to get X number of artifacts is going to win the game, but it's so much fun. But I want to tell you also, both of these expansions have extra boards, by the way, which I don't like. Just because the map's big enough, and expansion material that gives you more boards is just generally, I just don't care for that. So you get a board in each one of these, but I just add some of the cards into the base game. So, but Gravy wants me to play. He brings his, he likes to bring his stick to me so that I can play with him. But yeah, get out of here. Gravy jumped up here with his stick. Yeah, but the board is a misprint on it, and it's a big deal. So if you get the Dragon Realm expansion, make sure you look that up on Board Game Geek and resolve that. You have to print out a piece to put over the board, because with the places that those cards lay matters on that board. So make sure you're aware of that. But hey, I love playing this game just because, again, it's so laid back. There's just no pressure in this game. I don't know, there's something about doing that that is pleasant. And I just wanted to tell you about that, and that's Prophecy. The last game I'm going to talk about is a game called Escape from 100 Million BC. It's a cooperative board game, and you've crashed and went through some time warp, and you're 100 million years in the past. And this is very pandemic. It's very pandemic, very Forbidden Desert. So it's very similar in the way those two games play, if you're familiar with those two games. You're going to be managing time rifts. And when you have a time rift in this game, it's going to bring a character from the future back into 100 million years BC with you. And people like John F. Kennedy, Albert Einstein, things like that. And they are going to have something on them, on those cards, those characters, that probably aren't going to be good for you while they're here in 100 million BC. So you have to pick them up and deliver them to a space in order to get them back to the future and get rid of that thing that's hampering you in this game. So much fun. It has a hex map in it. A lot of people do not like hex maps. It doesn't bother me a bit. On another board, you're going to have a stack of tiles, and as you explore that map, you're going to have those tiles and you're going to lay them out on that map. And they're going to do different things, and you're going to have different encounters with dinosaurs of 3 different kinds and adventure cards that you're going to resolve. I would love to see just a card expansion for this game to give it just a little bit more legs. But I love it, and there's a lot in this box. There's a lot of game in here. We enjoy it a lot, and it's called Escape from 100 Million BC. And those are the games that did not make my top 10. They certainly could have, and if someone mentioned any one of those games and said that game is in my top 10 adventure games of all time, I'd say, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. That's a good game. And that's why I hang on to these games, because I love playing them. Okay, so here we go with the top 10 adventure games of all time, you guys. The ones that I love to play the most. And we're going to start out this list with Star Wars Outer Rim. Star Wars Outer Rim is a game about the Star Wars universe. This is a racing game trying to reach 10 fame. Now, you can shorten that to 8. I think even the beginning scenario says race to 8 points. It shortens the game. Hey, we do it all the time now because we like to get that quick experience. But there's a lot of variety in this base box. The only thing is there wasn't enough variety. And I think if you play this game all the time, you're going to need the extra cards that come in the expansion Unfinished Business, which we did go ahead and purchase, and it is in this base box also. But it gives you more cards for the planet locations and in the market, so it just feels like there's more depth there, and if you play this game a lot, you're going to want that so that you aren't reading the same things over and over again. So it's an essential part of it, as far as I'm concerned. But this is from Fantasy Flight Games. It has a modular board on it. I don't know if you've seen this game before. It's in a half circle on the table, and those are going to be planet locations that you're going to go to and try and pick up jobs, some of them legal, some of them illegal, and get as much fame as you can possibly get as fast as you can get it. I really like this game, and I really like it even without the expansion. If you are only going to play it maybe once every couple of months. But if you're going to play it a lot, like we do, we play our games a lot, and you start to see certain things over and over again, then you are going to desire to get more cards, more variety, and the only way you can get that is through the expansion Unfinished Business. And it gives you some more characters and stuff in it also, so that's nice. In this game, on that outer rim half circle, that's the board, you have of course an end on either side, and in the base game you end your movement on those, but in this expansion you have a couple of cores that go on each end of that half circle, and you can now fly from one side to the other, which is pretty cool. That was a pretty cool idea, so I really enjoyed that. But yeah, this is a fun game. If you like the Star Wars IP, all the characters are familiar, and it has a very Star Wars feel to it. After we started playing it for a while, I thought to myself, wow, this really feels like I'm one of these guys, these smugglers trying to, zoom around the galaxy with this illegal cargo and, trying to avoid encounters that would be bad for me. This is probably my favorite Star Wars game that I've ever played. I didn't really care for Star Wars Rebellion. It's a hide and seek mechanism, which I never like, but yeah, this is the most Star Wars-y Star Wars game I've played, and I really love it, and it's in my top 10 now for ultimate adventure board games, and that's Star Wars Outer Rim. Okay, and oh, I know what it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay, the next game I'm going to talk about is The Witcher Old World. This is a competitive game, much like Star Wars Outer Rim, in that you're racing to the end. First person to get 4 trophies in this game is the winner. Now this is an adventure style game with decks of cards that you're going to encounter, event cards and adventure cards that you're going to encounter, and you're going to different locations on the map, taking actions that are associated with that location, and you may have to do some of those cards on your turn. there are different phases to your turn that you're going to take, and the last phase is to draw a card from a market, and you're going to take that card, add it to your hand. So it's kind of a deck building mechanism, and you're going to be able to get more powerful. Your hand's going to get more powerful. I love the combat system in this game. You're going to encounter some monsters that you're going to have to defeat, and they will have a life deck, you'll have a life deck, and you're going to play those back and forth until one of you has used all their cards and lost all their life, and one of you will win, one of you will lose. So there's quite a push your luck element in this game, because after a couple of turns and you've gotten a couple of cards from that market, you ask yourself, can I beat that weaker monster? Can I do it right now? And you know, I think I can. So you're going to go ahead and try that and get that trophy, because that's what it's about. You just want to get 4 trophies as fast as you can go. There is an expansion for this game called an adventure deck, and it's just cards, but it's hard to get right now. I think it's supposed to be reprinted, and hopefully I can get my hands on that, because that's all I need for this game is more cards for the adventure style part of the game, for those decks of cards that offer that variety in the story and in the adventure and in the encounters. So I can't wait to get my hands on that deck, and I'll be happy with this game just the way it is, with just a few more cards, and that's called The Witcher Old World. Alright, next game I'm going to talk about is Oltree. Yeah, by Antoine Bauza and John Grumpf. Art by Vincent Dutray. And this expansion, this little expansion called Undead or Alive. Undead and Alive, excuse me. Undead and Alive. But this is a 2 to 4 player cooperative adventure game. And there's so much to love about Oltree. Oh my gosh. Especially the publishing of this game. The dice are 20mm wooden dice, which I like wood dice, and they feel great in your hand, and they're big and they're biodegradable. It's 2 to 4 players, and it takes you about an hour to play it, and it's crisis management like all good cooperative games are, and you have these horses that are going to represent each of you, and they're just gorgeous. I just want to take a second and show you. If you haven't looked at Oltree, you should. It's a wonderful cooperative game. You have a wonderful map that you're going to be moving around on, and I love this compartmental thing that they have in the box here. But these rangers that you're going to be are beautiful wooden, screen printed in detail. These wood ranger, you're on top of a horse, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. I love those things, and I love that the publisher chose wood for their miniatures. It's fascinating and it's fabulous, very thematic. I love this game so much. Lori and I, again, in the base box, it has story cards that you're going to go through, and I think there's long ones and short ones as far as the chronicles, just like Legends of Andor. So it has chronicles in there that you're going to go through, and there's some that are long, some that are short. So there's 6 chronicles in here in the base box. But if you want some more, which a game needs it, you need to pick up this expansion. Now this is just a small expansion, and it's a good one because it gives you more cards, and that's what you want in an adventure game, is more cards in this thing. And a few more other things that are in this box, but you don't need great big huge expansions that add to the game board or do things like that. You just need more variety. This expansion gives it. It's hard to find this expansion. I had given up, and Lori found it on Zatu, right? Z-A-T-U? A site called Zatu, and it came from the UK. We had to wait for it to be shipped over here, but it was only $13. So we were able to get this, and I think they're out of them now at Zatu, but on the website it says more coming. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. But people are charging a lot of money for this expansion. Lori was just happened to be Johnny on the spot and found this, so that was very nice to be able to pick this up for this game because I like it a lot. It's a smooth playing system and not too much pressure, a lot of luck stuff where you're going to roll dice and take what you get and don't throw a fit, and that's okay with me, and that's called Oltree. Okay. Okay, the next game I'm going to talk about is A Touch of Evil from Flying Frog Productions. Now, I already talked about Fortune and Glory, which we love, and this is very similar. You can play it competitively or cooperatively. We play it cooperatively because that's fun, especially when you talk about scary. You know, when you're playing scary games or you're doing something scary in life, it's always fun to have your friends or buddies with you when you're trying to overcome that evil and that scariness. And we enjoy this game so very much. I have one expansion called The Coast. There is another one that was made for this game. It's hard to find. I haven't gotten it. I don't know if I would. I like everything about this game except a few of the publishing decisions they made. The boards are thin and they can rip pretty easily, so I don't care for that. I wish they would up their publishing on the boards in this game. And then the miniatures that are in the game are unpainted plastic. I wish they would paint them or make them out of full color cardboard or something. I wish they would up their game a little bit in that regard. But everything else about the publishing I love. The glossy finish on the cards and the character sheets, the adversary sheets, everything about this game I love other than that. But we enjoy this game very much, and this is the 10-year anniversary edition, and I think there is a reprint currently. I don't know if it's available yet, but there is a reprint of this game, so you don't have to buy this great big box, which was the only thing available when I bought it. And so I picked it up. It has room for all the expansion material in it, which is the nice thing about this. But this is a large box. So if you're adverse to large game boxes, you probably want to stay away from this. But it's a supernatural adventure board game. Lots of cards in here, lots of encounters, lots of intrigue, lots of adventure, lots of scariness. And it's such a fun time to play. And that's from Flying Frog Productions. And I do want to give a shout out to the designer, Jason Seahill. So he did a nice job with this game. It's fun to play, and it's not hard to play, so I enjoy that. In my board games, I don't like a lot of and a ton of complexity. I don't want to work that hard intellectually. This is just a fun game to play, adventuring with your friends, and that's a Touch of Evil board game. Okay, now I'm going to talk about a game that some people are going to say that's not an adventure game, but I'm going to say it is, because it has the word adventure on it, and that's Dice Throne Adventures. Now, Dice Throne is a dice chucking game, battle Yahtzee, Lori calls it, where you battle 1v1 most of the time, and it's a lot of fun. And the production and publishing of that game is outstanding. And you can get those games from Roxy Games. You can get this from Roxy Games. So when we heard about this Dice Throne Adventures coming out, and it turned the game from competitive to cooperative, we had to have it, because that's just our natural thing that we gravitate to. They're going to lay out a dungeon, and there's all kinds of different scenario dungeons that you can use, ton of cards in here, and you are going to travel around that and explore that dungeon and do those encounters as you go, and at the end you're going to battle a big boss. But I just love this game. It is so much fun to play. The publishing of the game adds to the fun. I mean, it's so immersive because these guys took the time to make a great looking board game. Hey, when this game's on the table, it is just, I don't know, it takes it to a new level. Just the publishing, the colorful aspect of the tiles and the characters in the game. The dice are gorgeous. Some of the most gorgeous dice in board gaming. And they have a Halloween adventure of Dice Throne coming out, and called Outcast, and that is either on Kickstarter or GameFound.
I think that one's Kickstarter.
And so you can find that if you're interested in it. But I like Roxy Games because they keep things in print so far, and you can go on their website and buy this stuff. You're going to have a little bit of money wrapped up in this. That's the only bummer. But, I mean, I like it, and I didn't mind spending the money because I love this game. I love putting it on the table and playing it, and that's Dice Throne Adventures. Okay, the next game I'm going to talk about is going to surprise some of you. Yeah, my next game that I think is terrific is Harry Potter Talisman. Now, Talisman is a game from the 80s, I believe, and there's been many different talismans, and all of those games have a lot of expansion material for them, so they're well beloved. I mean, there are people that say Talisman is their #1 game of all time, and you know, I can appreciate that. It is in that same mood as Prophecy that I showed you earlier. The game almost plays you, and some people don't like that. Sometimes I like that. I just want to roll some dice, resolve some issues, and play the game with what the game gives me. And it's very simple rule set. We have some house rules in this game. In the outer 2 rings, if you've played Talisman, if you roll a 1, you can move 1 to 3 spaces. If you roll a 6, you can move to any space on that ring. Those are two of our house rules that we use for movement in this game. And these games are made for house rules, whatever fits your style of play. You know, you can make those changes. In this game, you can battle player versus player where they can take one of your object cards. And when they do that, it's our house rule that you get a galleon and a fate token as compensation for losing that card. So that's one of our house rules too. We enjoy that very much. This is my favorite iteration of Talisman. I'm going to tell you right now, we have played Kingdom Hearts, and even though we enjoyed that game, and it's a good game, okay, it's Talisman, we decided to move that on, and we picked up the Harry Potter version, which we are so familiar with. Lori read the books when they came out back in the day. She got them right away and read all of them, loved them. And of course we've seen all the movies and so forth, but we love this iteration of Talisman. I just don't think there'll be any expansion material coming for this, which breaks my heart because I like this better than the fantasy universe of the original Talisman. I love this Harry Potter universe, but gosh darn it, this is a fun time. Yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite adventure games of all time, and that's Talisman Harry Potter. I'll put this stuff over there. All right, and the next game I'm going to talk about is Plum Island Horror. This is my Game of the Year for 2024 by Herman Luttman and GMT Games. You know, when it comes to adventure games, I've talked about how I like them to be kind of simple and not real complex. And that's what you have here. This game has rule books in it that'll teach you this game so that you understand it very quickly on how to play it. And the thing about this game, it's a cooperative game with so much humor in it. That's what I love. I love games that don't take themselves so seriously, and that's what Herman Luttman did in the Plum Island Horror. Such a fun time. You know, it's a storm hit the island, and these gases have infected not only people to make them zombies, but all these creatures that turn them into horrible things also. So it's not just zombies, but there are zombies, and the map is outstanding on this game. The player sheets are incredible. You have so many player aids that help you play this game, and the goal of the game, of course, is to rescue, I think, 26 survivors and survive 9 rounds. So that is what this game's all about, and I enjoy it so much. It is a little lengthy. It takes 4 hours to play it, 2-player. And Laura and I play it. We've played it 4 times at least, which is kind of strange for us because we usually don't keep games that have that long of a playtime, but there's so much to enjoy in this game. It's driven by 3 decks of cards, a fate deck, an event deck, and a search deck. I think that's the 3 decks of cards. The search deck is the one that I love the most because it gives that story and that thematic value to what's happening on the game board. I enjoy that. And there's an expansion coming, which I'm going to have to buy, but it's a wonderful game. The standees in this game are gorgeous. They're cardboard standees, but the standees themselves have all kinds of information on them that help speed up everything you're doing in the game. Oh, I can't tell you how wonderful it is to play this game. I love it, and that's called the Plum Island Horror. Huzzah! I'm back, and these are my #1 adventure board games of all time, you guys. I couldn't make up my mind. I know that's crazy, but I sat and thought about this for so long that I actually was like, I need to make this video. You know, I gotta make this video. And because I was taking an agonizingly long time to make up my mind what games were gonna be #1. So I didn't make up my mind. So these are my #1s. All 3 of these games. I'll talk about them individually, but I'm in love with every one of them. This is Legends of Andor. Oh my gosh, what can be said about this game? And there's 4 boxes here. There's the base box, Legends of Andor, and I can't remember what year it came out, darn it. But then there's the Journey to the North, which you have to have the base box to play Journeys of the North. Then there was The Last Hope and Eternal Frost. So there's 4 big boxes here. Now, the only one that you can't play by itself is Legends of the North. You have to have the base box to play that. But Eternal Frost, The Last Hope, and the base box can all be played, they're standalone, so they can all be played on their own. Now there are Chronicle cards in here, tarot-sized Chronicle cards in a deck, and those are going to be your Chronicles that you're going to work through in this story. They're going to challenge you. And this is a high-pressure game. It is a puzzle game. So if those 2 ideas are a turn-off to you, you probably wouldn't like this game. It has a timer and mechanism in it, and that timer is going to go down these letters, and I mean, you're running out of time, and different things in the Chronicle are going to happen as that timer goes down, and you are sweating bullets, let me tell you, because you can see that you're running out of time. And that is the pressure mechanism in this game. It has a wonderful monster mechanism where they jump like checkers. It's a castle defense game on top of everything else, and once so many of those monsters overrun the castle, you've lost the game. All players have lost. It's a cooperative adventure that I just can't get enough. It's by Michael Menzel. He is the author of the game and the artist, and the maps are all double-sided in these games. They're fabulous, they're beautiful, there's so much variety in these boxes that I could not have it be any lower than number one on my list. It's just so much fun when Lori and I get to playing this game. It plays magnificent, the two-player count, which is another thing that's a prime reason for us enjoying this game so much, and that's Legends of Andor. I can't get enough of it. The next game I'm going to talk about is a game I just got, which is freaky. I didn't know what to think about this game. Lori had found it on YouTube, some people talking about the game, and she says, hey, we need to look at this game, and it's called Paupers Ladder. I got the second edition. The designer is Paul Stapleton, a wonderful gentleman that did all the publishing and was the author of the game, and he shipped these out personally. I was impressed with that and kept in touch with people. Was that on Facebook or what was that?
Facebook, yes.
Yeah, he kept in touch with people on Facebook, you know, on where their games were. Yeah, your order number 93, well, your game will be shipped out on this day. I mean, the guy was fabulous in that regard. I mean, when's the last time you had that kind of personal touch associated with your board game? It was fantastic. What a great job. Now, we've played this game 4 times. We've played the base game twice. We've played the base game with the Gift Bearers expansion, and we played the Moon Towers expansion, which is a completely resetting of the whole game. All of it's fantastic. This is a game that is so approachable and so wonderful. The universe that he created here in this game is so I don't know, vibrant and wonderful without being childish at all, and challenging. It's just an outstanding fun game. This would be Lori's #1 adventure game of all time with no ties.
Hands down.
She loves this game. This is going to be in her top 10 board games of all time, regardless of what genre. She loves this game as much as I do. I love it too, but I love this game so much. It's for 1 to 4 players, and it plays in 60 to 90 minutes. In this game, you're trying to make your paupers have the most virtue, and to do that, there are 5 virtues you can fulfill. You first one to do 3 of those virtues is the game winner. And I don't know, there's something about it. The first time we played it, I just couldn't believe that it met my expectations. And now that I've played it 4 times, it's exceeded my expectations. There is another expansion for this game I don't have. We're getting it. Is it on the way?
Yes, it'll be on the way now. He wanted to wait till after Christmas.
Oh, and Paul said he'll mail it to us after Christmas, but I want to get everything there is for this game. It's so cute. I don't know. It's unique. It's so unique, and it's so approachable. So everybody, hey, don't be afraid of this game. This is the antithesis of Secrets of the Lost Tomb as far as complexity is concerned. So approachable, so wonderful to just sit there and play this game. And I don't know, it's colorful, and just, man, it defies words as far as I'm concerned. Just an outstanding time. That's why it's #1 on my Ultimate Adventure board games list, and that's Paupers Ladder 2nd edition. Now, the last game I'm going to talk about is Arkham Horror 3rd edition, and I love this game. I did not care for the 1st edition. One of the main problems I had with the game was the ugly board that you play on. It didn't suck me into that universe. And I needed a board like, if you've ever played Pandemic, Reign of Cthulhu, that board that looks so thematic for the game in that mythos universe, that was what I was looking for Arkham Horror. And they finally delivered in this 3rd edition. I'm only speaking to people who don't have the 1st and 2nd edition. If you have the 1st and 2nd edition of Arkham Horror and all those expansions, you don't want this, and I understand that, and you love your game, and I want you to love your game. Keep playing that game. I'm talking to people that have not ever had an edition of Arkham Horror. This one is the one to get, in my opinion, because it has a board that's gorgeous. It's a modular board made up of hex type pieces that you can put together like a jigsaw puzzle, and they're different locations, and they have streets and bridges that connect them, and even those are locations. Every scenario has a different setup of that modular board, and that's just brilliant. And it was designed by Nikki Valens of Fantasy Flight Games. This is a cooperative adventure game that's so much fun to play. We absolutely love it, and I have 3 expansions, all 3 that are available for this game. There is the Dead of Night expansion, the Under the Dark Waves, and the Ordeal of something or another. I always forget the name of that expansion. But we have all of them, and I think I have, and I don't know if this is incorrect, but I think there's almost 1,300 cards in this game now. And that is the epitome of adventure board gaming, because you have to have a large variety. And I want to warn you, this game is going to be out of print. Arkham Horror 3rd Edition, the expansions and everything. So if you have any interest in this at all, you better grab it now, or you're going to end up like me with Runebound, not being able to get the Unbreakable Bonds expansion to expand your game. And I hate that they do that. These things should be available. I'm going to get off the path here just for a second and talk about Stonemaier Games. Jamie Stegmaier, you know, as a businessman, I love that guy. His games are always in print. Scythe and Wingspan, 2 of the most popular games in board gaming. You can go buy them today. You can go buy them anywhere today. You know, they're available. He keeps them in print. That is how you run a board game business. I don't like that people will someday not be able to get this, like I can't get Unbreakable Bonds from Fantasy Flight Game for my Runebound 3rd Edition. It drives me crazy. If someone wants to get in this hobby and see something that they really like, and then they've realized, you mean I'm going to have to pay like $100 for each expansion when they MSRP'd out at $40 or whatever? I'm on my soapbox right now, but I just wanted to warn you that I don't know how long these Arkham Horror 3rd Edition box and expansions will be available. These are my #1 adventure board games. This one's cooperative, this one's competitive, this one's cooperative. So hey, I hope you had as much fun watching this video as I had making it. I've been putting it off forever because I couldn't decide what I wanted to make my #1, so I just threw in the towel, gave up, threw up my hands and said, they're all #1 with the Bones Collector. I love these games. I hope you have a chance to play them if you haven't already. And please like and subscribe. I love every one of you. Keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet. Please leave any comments you have about any of the games that you saw in our video, any questions that you have. I'll try to get back to you about them. And hey, I don't know. I'll see you the next time here on the Bones Collector. Bye-bye.